Most online courses are a video, a PDF, and a quiz. For me, that is not a course. That is a filing cabinet. This week, we are already at the stage where episode 1 is already out the door, and tonight there will be episode 2. So I wanted to talk and discuss around the question of what makes a great course. So I mean, not just on paper, in practice. For someone who has to go to work on Monday and use this stuff, what makes it great? So before we get into it, quick update on the week. Monday, I went down the YouTube packaging rabbit hole. Thumbnails, titles, description, metadata. My videos were okay. The presentation is not good. I think it affects the perception. People have to click. People have to get into the content to see if this is any good or not. So I worked on this. Thumbnails, titles, description, metadata, anything to improve the visibility, what we call the click-through rate. From the impression, and how to make the SEO, the search engine optimization, identify that my content is matching the requirements of someone searching for that. So that was Monday. Tuesday, I created my first short, also like for visibility. I'm using the DaVinci Resolve to cut through the episodes and find the right pieces. Honestly, the more I work with it, the more I love the software. It's extremely powerful. The learning curve is extremely steep. Everything is inside, from the media management, the editing, color grading. Everything is impressive in this software. So these shorts are already out on YouTube, and I want to push them to not necessarily LinkedIn, but Instagram, TikTok, wherever people are consuming this type of short content. I think this is where I also need to submit it. Let's see what comes up. Wednesday, again, final pass on the scripts for episode 2 and 3, so which is good. Then I could record the talking head sessions for episodes 2 and 3. It means we are accelerating. I think I will be able to produce episode 3 quite fast this week. We're starting to get faster, which matters. I like the sensation that though it's still not great, at least it's getting a bit faster to push things through. So let's see. So then left only Thursday and Friday to assemble the episode 2. And this is where we are with this week's lesson. As recap, episode 1 introduced the 4 cycles that run a finance function: actuals, close, forecast, budget, business reviews. The link is in the description, or maybe I will put something there on the screen. Episode 2, again, live in few hours, is going to go deeper. It's about what happens when the boundaries between roles are getting unclear or are unclear, when no one really owns the deliverable. I have worked in companies that were proud of that ambiguity. Like, this is a test of loyalty. If you want to stay here, you need to accept the fog and And for me, this is not a small thing, In these episodes, we're talking about it. We have this case of Archer-Daniels-Midland. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, the French way. ADM, one of the largest food companies in the world, $80 billion in revenue. So it's not a small player. The SEC just charged them and 3 former executives with accounting fraud, a $40 million penalty. So what happened? The executives were shifting profits between business segments to make one division look like it was hitting targets when it was actually not. Retroactive rebates, price adjustments, none of it available to outside customers. 2 years after they started doing this, they changed their own compensation structure to benefit from it. For me, this is what happens when boundaries aren't clear and no one owns the truth. ADM is not some tiny company with no control. This is the freaking Fortune 50 business, So when I say clear boundaries matter, this is what I mean. And this is why I care so much about building courses that actually change how people work, not just what they know. So which brings us to the topic of today, my dear friends. What makes a great course? And I've been thinking about this for months, and I have landed on 3 layers, and each one is building on the one before it. Layer 1 is context. Before you teach anything, the learner needs 3 things. First thing is the perspective. This issue happens in real organizations, and here is why you should care. Not theory first, reality first. The ADM story, that is perspective. That is why boundaries and clear ownership are not abstract management concepts. They are the difference between a functioning company and a fraud case. The second thing, we need progression. You cannot dump everything on someone in lesson 1. In the last vlog, we talked about how I structured the knowledge area to start with intro courses and ramping up progressively. I think there needs to be a path. And the third thing in this first layer is applicability. If you cannot use this at work on Monday, I have failed. Every lesson needs to connect to something the learner actually does in the job. And at the end, what I saw through my life is that most courses get maybe 1 or 2 of these right, sometimes even 0. They open with definitions, they walk through slides, and they hope you figure out why it matters. And I think that is backwards. Okay, so as I said, layer 1 is perspective, progression, applicability. Now, so the layer 2 is structure. This is the part most people think of when they think course. And honestly, if you do this well, you are already ahead of most. Each lesson has 3 deliverables. The video is not the lecture, it is the hook. It shows you why this matters, what happened when it goes wrong, and what it looks like when it goes right. The emotional energy comes from the video. Then the text is the deep dive. All the detail, all the rigor, all the references, the resources, the materials is there. This is the academic backbone. And the last variable, the quiz is not just like, did you memorize this? It tests whether you understood the principle, not just the definition. So now, this is already a solid standard. Video plus text plus quiz and resources, everything done well with real cases, real stakes. That is better than most of what is out there. But okay, layer 1, layer 2, I wanted to go further. Layer 3 is where this gets interesting. GoFast.Finance is generally different from anything else I've seen. So in this layer 3, 3 things again. First, we have the personalized study with the Notebook LM. Every course ships with a public notebook in Google's Notebook LM. The sources are already loaded. You open it and you can start asking questions in your own words. You did not understand something in the lesson? Ask Gemini to explain it differently. You want more example? Ask for them. You prefer the audio? Generate a podcast where you can jump in and ask questions at the place. Yes, you can do this. You can do anything you want from a study perspective with Notebook LM. Again, if you do not like the way I explain something, fine. Generate your own version. Slides, summaries, flashcards, whatever works for your brain. And this is not a gimmick. This is the point. People learn differently. A static course will always leave some people behind. And the notebook here is the adaptive layer. Then the GoFast.Finance GPT for work application. Right now we just built one, which is for the controlling part called controller. Notebook LM is great for studying, but I wanted something for the other side, applying what you learn at work. So I built this custom GPT. Think of it as ChatGPT. This is ChatGPT in the background, but its context is limited to the same verified knowledge that powers the courses. You can ask it work questions. How should I structure my month-end review? What is a good KPI set for a plant controller? It answers from the course knowledge base, not from the entire internet. And that's the point. When you limit the context of a GPT, you get more refined, more curated answers to a specific topic. Try it. The link is in the description. Tell me if you think it's useful. If it's not useful, okay, tell me why. And we're going to get through this. And the third point of this third layer is the philosophical commitment, let's say the open knowledge. I do not believe that proprietary knowledge is the right model for where we are heading. We have open source software, are starting to have open source knowledge with Wikipedia and stuff like this. But I think we need them for the new technologies, for the LLM. Verified structured knowledge bases that you can plug into any AI tool to get reliable answers on a particular topic. Because here's the issue, as I was pointing before. If you ask ChatGPT or any other LLM a finance question right now, it will give you a clear, confident sounding answer. For sure. The style alone makes you think that knows something. But it remains statistical pattern matching on training data, which means it can validate you when you're wrong. It can give you the perfect answer to the wrong questions because you accidentally let it there. It can sound authoritative about something it just made up. This is why verified sources matter, not because AI is bad. AI is incredibly useful because AI without verified foundation is just fluent guessing. And that is the whole point of the notebook and the GPT. The AI is the interface. The verified knowledge is the foundation. You get the speed and flexibility of AI with the sources you can actually trust. I think we will need to do a deep dive on the AI capabilities and limitations in a future vlog. Would love to talk about it. There is a lot to cover, but the core idea is this. AI here is a personalization layer for everybody. It's not the authority on the knowledge. This is coming from us. Now, I want to be honest, as usual, with you about something. On paper, the blueprint is beautiful. It looks great. 3 layers, real cases, structure, and AI-powered personalization, open knowledge. Wow. But I know that having a blueprint and executing it are 2 different things. I am one person, I have 10 subscribers, and I'm pretty sure most of them are my friends and family. So I'm not going to sit here and promise that every course will be perfect from day one. Of course, what I promise you, and maybe you can already see through the vlogs and the episodes, I will grind and improve week after week. And that is the whole point of building in public. I've been thinking about verifying knowledge in open systems for a long time. I already talked about it. I failed 10 years ago, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, 10 years ago, I had this startup idea on building verified semantic knowledge bases. I dropped it because I felt alone and I did not know how to share what I was building. This time is going to be different because I'm not going to stop. And if you are the kind of person who thinks that improving how we work as a society, in organizations, is worth the effort, not the big revolutionary disruptions, just a steady, honest grind of making things better, then subscribe. A few hundred people who actually care can have more impact than a million passive followers. See you next week.